NFL Mailbag time here. Tom Downey Mitchell Renz coming at you. Manuel, you're first off. What do you guys think the Bears have to do basically to get Deshaun Watson?
All of your picks. And I mean that literally. I think you have to give up such a ridiculous haul in order to acquire Deshaun Watson. Now, I think the Texans, if they were to do it, which, again, I'm unconvinced happens in the end,
I still think it's at least
prefer to trade him to an NFC team. But I think you're looking at your first this year, your first next year, another second or third rounder this year and or next year, a third first-round pick, and probably a player as well. Because you're not going to get him for free. I'm sorry, guys.
Honestly, y'all, I don't trade Deshaun Watson for like 5 first-round picks. I don't do it. Super chat time from Dwayne Jackson. Will Deshaun Watson get traded before the draft or on draft night?
If a trade happens, I think it is well before the draft.
I'm with you.
Because in the end, if you're Houston and you're moving on from Deshaun Watson because you're a bad organization, you're going to try and salvage what value you can.
Yep.
And the best way to do that is to not do what the Cardinals did and wait till draft night. Do it while there are more teams that could afford and trade for him. Because if you wait till free agency, it gets tougher to make that work in terms of salary cap. And if a team signs a quarterback, well, now they're not going to go out and trade for Watson too. So even though Watson will probably be better, it limits your pool of options.
I'll tell you
so
what,
if it does happen, it's got to be pre-draft.
If it happens on draft night, it's going to be one hell of a trade because they don't have a first or second round pick. So it would be absolutely mind-boggling. This next one's coming in from Sinai. What up, brother? Who is your candidate for Rookie of the Year for this season?
It's Justin Herbert. And then, honestly, I think number 2 is Justin Jefferson. I think those are your 2 frontrunners this year.
I'd also throw out Jonathan Taylor.
Sure, he closed the year very, very well.
I mean, I think Justin Jefferson would be over Taylor, but those are probably my top 3 guys. But it's a quarterback-driven league. It's Justin Herbert. So continue, guys, to use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. This one's coming in from Let Liam Speak. Okay, Allen Robinson to the Raiders. He tweeted about Gus Bradley and liked to tweet about going to the Raiders. So I've seen a lot of people talk about this. I mean, this is what the offseason is all about. If you guys remember, Gus Bradley actually drafted Allen Robinson out of Penn State, and Robinson's best year he's ever had in his entire career was his sophomore season with the Jags. It was like 14 touchdowns, 1,400 yards with Blake Bortles.
What if you just took the Tyrell Williams money and gave it to Allen Robinson?
I don't think it's going to be nearly enough. I mean, Allen Robinson deserves a Amari Cooper type money.
Most of the Tyrell Williams money then.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
That's $11.6 million. You will be able to free up some money for the Raiders, but
probably need another 9, 8, somewhere in that range.
You're going to need a lot of extra money, and I think for Las Vegas, your concentration is going to be probably on defense.
Yeah,
but Allen Robinson is our number 1 free agent wide receiver. You could also throw out names like Chris Godwin, Kenny Galladay, but A-Rob's number 1 on my list. Where do y'all think he's going to play in 2021? Go down in the comments section. Let us know. And we're actually going to make this the pinned comment on today's NFL Mailbag. So while you're getting hit with that YouTube ad break, seriously, scroll down. Let us know. This next one's coming in from Robert. What up, my dude? Mariota and Trent Brown and a second for Khalil Mack. No.
Yeah, Bears say
Bears
go
laugh
away.
And hang up the phone.
You're not going to get a premier edge rusher for the Bears would be second or third string and highly paid backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Trent Brown, who the Raiders might just cut outright, although he would be a decent player.
He's a good player, but nobody's going to pay him $14 million.
50th overall pick. No, there's no way the Bears do that trade.
Let's go to 2 drip, 2 fly. Who should the Seahawks draft?
A lot of this depends on what they do in free agency. They have a lot of key free agents they have to figure out at cornerback, at running back, on the offensive line. I think what they'll try to do is have serviceable options. You're probably trying to find Brandon Shell-esque guys. That way you can start them if you have to, but if you find an upgrade in the draft, you go for it there. I would keep an eye out in particular for offensive line, interior in round 2 with their top pick. Maybe running back, I wouldn't love it though, and cornerback as well, because I don't know what's going to happen with the Dunbar-Griffin tandem. But I think those positions are some of the top ones to keep an eye out for.
Well, quick hit you guys up. If you guys want more Seahawks news and rumors, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Seattle OC candidates.
Yeah, that is on the channel right now. You guys go check it out. We went through 10 different names, so Drip, we got you guys covered. youtube.com/SeahawksTV. You can stay up to date on what's going on around the Seahawks and that OC search. One guy's been linked. Former Chargers coach is all I'll mention as the tease.
If you guys are looking for an NFL face mask, we got you hooked up here at Seahawks. It's any NFL team, all 32 NFL teams. Masks which range in packs of 1. I guess it's not really a pack. To packs of 4. We're just trying to hook you guys up with awesome deals here. But seriously, it's also getting colder as well. So if you need something to keep warm, especially you people in Buffalo, you can go ahead and get one of these face masks that also cover your neck. And if you're wondering how you get set up, it's simple. Look down below on screen. You see it? Chatsports.com/staysafe. If that link is too hard to remember, Tom and I, we got you covered. It's also going to be in the description. And shout out to Marshall, who is running the chat right now. He's throwing it in the live description and chat as well. Shout out to him. It's chatsports.com/staysafe. All right, super chat from Jaden Henderson. What's up, Tom and Mitch? Shout out to my guy Harrison. Houston fans, get ready to go back to the dark ages, a.k.a. when you had David Carr.
Respect Jaden, who's a Colts fan, by the way, out here trolling Houston fans in the comment section. I respect it, Jaden. Well done, my friend.
Let's go to this next one. It's coming in from Dwayne Jackson. How does the NFL reinforce the Rooney Rule? And appreciate the super chat.
Well, they did make some changes this year to that in terms of impact on the head coach level and even like the front office and coordinator level. For head coaches, 2 external candidates that are minorities must be interviewed at the OC, DC, and I think it's front office is also in this group as well.
Yes.
Minimum 1 external candidate. So they have to take care of that. A lot of these teams, they're taking care of that. They sometimes knock them out early if there's someone they want, but really so far there hasn't been a quick hire. So I think all the minorities you see getting interviewed, or minority candidates I should say, are legitimate options for those organizations. So that's how they're trying to make it better and make things even within the NFL, I should say.
All right, Tyler, appreciate the question. I always read this wrong. I always see WTF. Thoughts on what Washington should do next at quarterback?
I don't think it's
Heineke season, baby. Let's go. Bring him back, Tom.
Bring him back is fine.
Back up.
If you go, he's our guy, guaranteed, I think you're going to end up being disappointed.
Obviously.
I think you have to explore other options. I don't know who that's going to be. With where they're drafting, I mean, unless you want Mac Jones, which I don't think is the best path, I think they should instead take a pursuit of, let's try and sign another veteran and try and still compete with the guys we have around him. Or you go all out and try and trade up for it. Just a thought.
So if you're wondering, hey, what the heck, how can I get my questions on the show? We answer these when we are live, and we go live every Monday and Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. So go ahead, click the big red button that says subscribe. Tom and I, we decided to move the show up a little bit. Yeah. That way we could stay live a little bit longer. So bottom line is this, we're a live interactive YouTube channel that we like to talk about sports. So if you want to chat some sports with us, go ahead and subscribe. Junior, what up, my brother? Can the New England Patriots get Mac Jones and wide receiver in the draft?
Pretty easily. They could go Mac Jones in round 1 and then go receiver in round 2. I don't know if Mac Jones is really worth a mid-round 1 pick. I think he has to go to the right system. The fit matters a lot more than we ever want to admit in the NFL, but I don't love his arm strength. I don't love his mobility. There's no, really glaring weakness in his game, but I do worry about him making a bunch of plays off script, out of the pocket, on the move, all of those things. He did it a few times at Alabama, but I worry about the high upside traits being there.
So you said fit matters.
Kind of reminds me of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay.
Well, so I think he could work in New England.
The issue is, though, there's no options, there's no weapons in New England.
And that's what gives me concern there.
Mitty, what up? Should Richard Sherman sign back with the Seahawks?
Oh, baby.
Will he be expensive? I think he will be expensive.
I don't know about that. He's an aging player. How expensive?
This is going to be his last contract.
How expensive?
$10+ million.
I might take the under.
I don't know.
He is now on the downside of his career.
He's coming off his worst year of his career.
And coming off an injured season, too.
Correct.
I think he's less than $10 million. My issue is I think Sherman knows this, too. He's going to look into moving to safety at some point soon. It's not really what Seattle needs. If he wants to come back on a more team-friendly deal, I think Seattle should have interest there. I'm not entirely sure how great that relationship is at the current moment.
True.
But if he's affordable for a team light on cap space, $10 million, you can't afford that. I think there should be some interest there from Seattle because he already knows the defense and the players and the coaching staff pretty well. It could make some sense.
Is this Marshall 6? Is that what that number is? I'm not sure.
It's 11.
11, yeah. See, I'm good at math. Should Miami hire the old Seahawks OC, Brian Schotty?
V is 5, X is 10, and then, I is 1.
All right, so Brian Schottenheimer fired by the Seattle Seahawks. should Miami go out and bring him in, who they're also looking for an OC because Chan Gailey stepped down and, well,
retired. I think the Dolphins can find a better offensive coordinator candidate than Brian Schottenheimer. I'll tell you this, though. How about his quarterbacks coach?
Okay.
If you end up shuffling that coaching staff around a little bit and you have a need for a new quarterbacks coach, I think Schottenheimer is fairly good in that role. I don't love him as a game planner, as an offensive coordinator. I wonder how much he was limited in the end by Pete Carroll. Maybe he would have been better fully unleashed. But I think the Dolphins can do a little bit better in the end.
Yeah, I'm with you. Is Schottenheimer a good OC? Why for yes and for no? My other question I was thinking about is this the right way to spell Brian Schottenheimer? It took me like 6 tries to be able to get this one right. Why for yes and for no? Is Schottenheimer a good OC? Tom, what do you have to say?
I don't think he's like the worst OC, but I wouldn't consider him a prime. I got upset when he got NFL head coaching interest. That bothered me a lot more than him just being a pure OC.
Let's go to that random Arizona Cardinals kid. Who do y'all feel about, or how do y'all feel about Cliff Kingsbury's future with Arizona?
I feel a lot about Cliff Kingsbury the way I did when he got hired. I don't know how you fail upward.
I don't know how he got the job, but he did.
Congrats, Cliff. Honestly, I don't think he did a great job down the stretch this year.
He didn't. They collapsed.
And I know there were some injuries and all that. I get it, but I am unconvinced that Cliff Kingsbury is like the savior of Arizona as a head coach. He's fine as an OC. But there's a lot more than that.
The offense is good. The Arizona defense is
the offense wasn't even as good as it should have been this year.
I'm with you there outside
of throw it to Hopkins, the offense wasn't good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of troubling.
Kenyon Drake also took a major
and Kyler
step back.
Scramble. That also worked well, but you saw some issues with that Cardinals offense. That gives me a lot of concern. So honestly, I think he might be on the hot seat if they struggle this upcoming season.
Super Chat time. What up, Jaden? Colts wide receiver situation is looking a little ugly.
Fair.
Do we keep T.Y. or pick someone up in free agency / the draft?
Yeah, honestly, if I'm the Colts, I got a lot of money to spend in free agency. I'm looking at some of those big guys. I'm looking at Eddie Chris Godwin. I am looking at an Allen Robinson, a Kenny Galladay, and I'm like, ooh, maybe just throw money here. Because you have Michael Pittman, of course.
Yep.
I think you're banking on Paris Campbell getting healthier this year.
Agreed.
Get a legit true number one guy. I would love Kenny Galladay in Indianapolis.
Oh my gosh, that'd be phenomenal.
Pay him whatever he wants to get paid, or unless the Lions franchise tag him.
I'll say this: if you decide to bring back Phillip Rivers on another one-year deal, I'm actually saying yes, you should go ahead and bring back T.Y., who started to work a little bit of a chemistry with Phillip down the stretch. If Phillip's like, no, I'm good. I know T.Y. has been a great receiver in Indy. Then I probably go elsewhere and invest my money on some of those other top free agent wide receivers. So we got 4 young quarterbacks on screen right now, all drafted in the top 2 rounds of this past year's draft. Who do you think is going to have the best career? Do you think it's going to be Joe Burrow, type 1? Is it going to be Tua, type 2? Justin Herbert, type 3? Or Jalen Hurts, type 4? Out of the 4 quarterbacks on screen, who's going to have the best career?
I think if we're basing it on the odds, based on what we saw in year 1 and relative to where they were drafted, which means it's not going to be Hurts, it's probably Justin Herbert. If Joe Burrow didn't blow up his knee this year, I'd have gone with him. But I at least have concerns about that. I think this might be a very rare year where of the top 3 guys picked, at least 2 of them hit. Historically, that's actually a very rare scenario, based on especially recent history. So I'm actually going to go Herbert, which is not what I would have said at the beginning of this season.
Super chat from Dwayne Jackson. With Dallas picking 10, if Caleb Farley falls to Dallas at 10, should stay at 10 or trade out to require more picks?
I am always on team trade down in general.
Yep.
I like Caleb Farley a lot. If he's there at 10, I'm going to do it. I am unsure if the Cowboys feel that way. There is going to be concerns about him opting out. That's very fair and justified. I love the athletic upside. I get worried about pairing 2 slower corners with Trevon Diggs and Patrick Surtain. Farley's not that. That dude is athletic. He is fast. He can react and adjust, and I think he's got all the upside you want in a corner. I'm never going to say no to a trade down, but I'd be fine taking him at number 10.
Last question is coming in from John Simon. The Giants should sign Allen Robinson and Levante David and re-sign Leonard Williams.
That's a lot of money you're throwing around out there. Now, I in a bubble, I do like all of those ideas individually. You get a legitimate, awesome number 1 wide receiver. From a cap space perspective, the Giants are sitting around, let me double check my notes here, based on the lower end of the cap, around like $5 million, but you can free up a bunch of money by cutting guys like Golden Tate, for example. I don't know if you can do all three of those things. If you can do one or even two of them, I think individually those moves should be well regarded by the organization and by the fans too.